Dr. Cutter with the Chainsaw Hospital, and today we're going to be working on this mystery saw. So I'm pretty sure I know what this is, but we're going to double check and make sure that we do have everything narrowed down as to what it is. So the story behind this is this one's name is Jerry, because Jerry did actually donate this to the Chainsaw Hospital for us to see if we could get it running. But the story behind this is he was going down the road one day and he actually found two chainsaws on the side of the road, like they had rolled off the wood pile or something on the back of the pickup. This one had suffered some damage and he couldn't get running. The other one, I'm not sure what model that was, but he kept that one because it was not damaged and what he could get it running. And I think he still uses it today. I want to say it was maybe an 029 or an 039, somewhere around in there. One of those models. But this one, uh, it could have had some damage to the stop switch, which I'll show you in here, and that could have been the problem. But you can see the brake. The brake doesn't reset on it, but the brake is not on though. So I'm not sure if it's. Again, I haven't touched this thing. Whatever it was from the get go is what it is now. I haven't tried to start it. I haven't tried to mess with it. I haven't tried anything. But you can see it's dirty, crusty, and usually those are the best ones. But again, this one has a little history behind it. Like, again, it's been sitting on the shelf in Jerry's shop for an untold amount of years. He couldn't remember. That's how long it had been, but it had been a long time. And Jerry is actually from Rhode Island. He wanted to donate this to the channel, so we're super stoked. So let's get in here and we'll go through it a little bit closer, and I'll show you some of the things that are broken, wrong with it, and maybe some rehab we need to do. We got a couple fractures. And we definitely need to do some dental work because this chain is whooped. I mean, uh, it's pretty sad. But either way, so let's get in here and we'll start going through this thing and see if we can figure out what model it is. And we'll talk about that more. And we're going to do a little something in here to find out maybe what bore diameter this saw is. All right, got Jerry here. You can see we got a little closer look. Uh, got a surgical mat down, and we're going to do a little examination. So let's start here. So I'm seeing. Let's flip Jerry around here so we can all see what's going on. I'm seeing a steel tag here, and I've got a metal tank. So this is not a plastic tank in the back here. And then I've got the metal tank up front here where the oil would go. And I'm seeing something strange here. This is a looks like a quarter 20 bolt shoved into the case, holding the muffler on. And they decided to use a bunch of washers as spacers. This handle is fractured, and I've got a buddy of mine that actually can weld aluminum, so we might take this over to him and see if we can get this put back together and get that back on there instead of buying a replacement handle or something like that. We could probably fix this one. And here's the brake that doesn't actually reset or work. I'll tell you what, let's get this bar and chain off of here. All right, got our 19 millimeter here, 3/4, if that's what you got. It wasn't on very tight, which is good, I guess. And the chain didn't feel overly tight, so that's nice. It didn't put a lot of strain on anything underneath of there. Looks like we're leaking a little gas or something out here. Man, that stuff is stinky too. There's the inside of the cover. Is that broken? No, it's not. It interfaces with that right there. Okay. Classic steel bar here. 3/8 pitch. I believe this is a 16-inch. Awful small for such a what looks to be a large displacement saw. But I think we can fix that. It's got all these safety bumpers. This chain's probably not the best, but it's a semi-chisel. Yeah, that's, oh, look how, yeah, that was the gas I wiped up. Look how yellow that is. Ugh, nasty, nasty. We're going to pull this air cleaner off, or at least the cover off. And maybe gas was coming out of here. Yeah, that vent. Oh, look. Oh, this is awesome. I love this kind of stuff. So this was the vent repair, and this was a fuel filter shoved onto a piece of fuel line instead of a check valve there for the tank vent. I guess it worked. Looks like something's disconnected here. This is just a black wire. Oh, yeah, here's an electrical connector down inside of there. Okay, so that's a good start. At least it's all there. The air cleaner's on, so we know we don't have any bugs down inside of there, kind of building stuff, doing stuff. And that was pinched off when the cover was on. So I don't know if it should have been, oh, it looks like it should have been ran. There's a little hole right here. That should have been inside of there and then in this area to be the vent. Let's take a look at the gas and oil tank while we're kind of in here. That's on there tight. There we go. And like I said, I wish you guys could have smell-o-vision because this stuff is disgusting. It is gas down in there and it's no telling how old it is. Let's get a jar here. We'll dump it out and take a look at it. Got a mostly clean jar here. So we'll set this down and we'll take a little sample of what's going on inside of this tank. Okay, looks like we lost a little bit. Suction, needs suction. There we go. Good thing we had that surgical mat down. Worked pretty good for this kind of stuff. But either way, there is what came out of there. It doesn't... Whew, yeah, man, guys. Oh, man. That's okay. We got it out of there. We'll check the fuel line. Looks like we got a little bit more in there. We might have to shake and jiggle it around to get it to come out. Well, it doesn't look rusted in there. That's what the main concern was. Looks like there is a fuel line still attached. I don't know how good or how hard it is. Oh, and there is a filter. Oh, yeah. This stuff is toast. Don't know if you can see that. We'll just pull it out of here anyways. Look how thin that is. It just collapsed, and that's okay. You can see that fuel line is just absolutely trashed. But what we'll do is we'll pull this air cleaner off, and the next goal would be to see if we can get this thing running with some help from a little bit of fuel down the carburetor, a little amp of epi, we'll call it. And why is this being held in place? There we go. Oh, is this one of those that has the choke built into the... Oh, it is. Oh, gosh. So Stihl had been using this system for a while, where you push, when you set the choke, you actually just close this little butterfly in the air filter up against the carburetor to actually close it off. That's a big carburetor in there. Check that out. There's my thumb. I don't have the biggest or smallest thumbs, but that's a pretty big carburetor on there. Let's pull this, what we're going to do now is we're going to check this muffler here. I'm going to pull this muffler cover off. I'm going to take a wild stab and say that these are quarter 20 bolts. Yeah, and there's the 7/16 nut driver I've got on there. Wow. Like I said, I doubt Jerry had done this. I think it just sat on the shelf. So, and this one might not have ran or something, but there's the inside of the air cleaner. Looks like there's some spider webs down inside of where the spark arrestor screen used to be. And what is this? This is like a little baffle cover thing. So not too bad. I guess it looked like it was pretty lean. I don't know. Maybe not. It's a light tan color, so at least it wasn't There's no metal in there. I've seen them when I've pulled them apart and there would be metal inside of there. So let's look at the piston here now that we got everything opened up. And okay, does not look bad at all. I don't see any scratches on there. Looks like it's a pretty decent cylinder wall in there too. Yeah, we might have something to work with here. So we don't know what model this is, or at least what diameter piston this thing is. So I think this is an 038, I believe. That's what it looks like. At least it's a big brother to the 028 series, which I have, which is named Kaiser on here. Thank you, Kaiser, for donating that to the channel. And so what I've got here is an old straw. But what I'm going to do is cut this off like this here, so that it's kind of radiused. And I'll show you why I'm going to do that here in just a second. So what I'm going to do with this is I'm going to shove it down into the cylinder. Okay, and then I'm going to rotate the engine around to where the piston will actually come up and squeeze and smash this this straw down to make it. That one looks like I already used this side, so I'm just actually going to use this side here to actually show what it is, and we can use a pair of calipers to measure that. So that's how we're going to figure out what piston diameter this is. So I've got the piston down right now. So what I'm going to do is stick the straw right down in there, and I've got that facing up and down. I'm going to hold that handbrake, the guard, out of the way. And here we go. We're going to go up with the piston now and smash it and see if we can get that back out of there. All right, there you go. You can see I've got the straw in there, and it left a nice crease right here, right there on there. So let's see if we can measure this with a pair of calipers. So I've got these here. I'm going to zero them out, make sure they're clean and all the good stuff. Yeah, they're good to go. And let's see, we used this side for sure. So what I'm going to do is measure from there to there to there. So I've got a 1.950. Yeah, 1.950. That was repeatable. So that is what our piston diameter is. So let's figure that out into millimeters. So if we do our math, we come up with 49.53 millimeters. I'm going to say that's probably a 50 millimeter bore in this. So this makes this a 038, just a regular one, not a Magnum or a Super or anything like that that would have a larger displacement cylinder, which is fine. 038s are great saws. I mean, there's no issues with that at all. I'm actually ecstatic that we have one here to play with. So let's go ahead and pull this spark plug out while we're here. So just pull the boot off there, and again, it's a 3/4, and that was in there good and tight too. Yeah, that's not too bad. Looks like it's got a little bit of carbon built up there. And all right, well, let's continue our inspection here, and we'll probably leave this muffler off because we're gonna see if we have spark. Actually, let's check for that. I know it's a little dark in here, but I've got the spark plug all hooked up with the tester and everything. So let's see if we got any spark. I would say yes, that was a pretty good spark. Nice and blue coming out of there. That's how I had everything set up. Just a ground wire clipped from the fins to the ground of the saw there. And it when I was kind of looking everything over to make sure the stop switch was in the run position, I noticed there is no stop wire on the switch here, the multifunction switch. There's no wire, so maybe that's where this wire went. Somehow it went down in there. I've never had an 038 on the bench to see, but I can tell you this ground tab here is what interfaces with a wire for the ignition, which is probably this, to actually stop it. But that's missing, so I'll see if I can dig around and find one of those. But for now, what we have is is pretty much a good starting point to see if we have enough compression, timing, and all those good things to see if we can get this thing to pop off with a little bit of two-cycle mix. So if we get give it a little shot right down its throat to try to get things going, we'll just put that plug back in there. Not too tight, not too loose, just right. No better time than the present to see if we can get this thing to fire off. So I've got my unitary wash bottle here with a nice 50-to-1 mix of Opti 2. So I'll tell you what, I'll back you guys up here a little bit so we can see this thing, if it will fire, see this thing light off. But let me get you in a better position. And what we'll do is we'll just go for it. We've got our two-cycle mix. Might take a few pulls. We'll put a little extra in there since it's such a large displacement saw. Just going to squeeze that throttle and get that down in there. This handle's a little floppy. I'll hold it over to the side here. So here we go. I'm going to pull on it and see if we can get something to happen. Okay. Well, there's that. That I was not expecting it to pop that quick. But this shows, I think Jerry is going to be a absolute runner. But yeah, let's go ahead and get this handle off. I would say that's a T27. That's right back here. I've got my impact and a T27 driver. Got that one out of there. Okay, good. It's just missing. I can work with that for sure. A whole lot less work for me. Looks like this might have been repaired back in the day. No, it is not. It's just beat up. There's that. We'll get that fixed. And what else are we going to do? We're going to get some parts to fix the muffler cover to get that back on there. I don't like all this extra junk in the way, but we'll at least get it running first, and then we'll play around with that stuff. But yeah, recoil works. Got great compression. I mean, yeah, good pop to it. That's it from me. We'll see if we can figure out this chain brake too on the next video. So be sure to stay tuned for that. And yeah, remember, keep your chain sharp and stay safe.